All right, Latricia, what was your motion?
Thank you, Dr. Carter. I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
May I have a second?
This is Kim. I second.
It has been moved and seconded by Kim Gifford. All in favor? All in favor by stating aye,
Aye.
Aye.
and it has been moved. All right. So next we have the minutes. Let me find those. I hear those up too. Okay, and here are the minutes from May.
Dr. Carter, those are not the May minutes.
These are not the May minutes.
Yes, I sent you guys the May minutes last week. And then the other day when you asked for them.
But it
Again.
says dated May 11, 2022.
I don't know where that document came from, but that's not the document that was loaded to SharePoint or to the SSD PAC website last week.
Okay. 1 second, guys. And these are on our website, correct? The
Yes,
correct
ma'am.
minutes?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, well, we'll just go to the website. We all get a tutorial on the website in just a second. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And it will be under here, meeting documents, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And under 2021, 22. If you go to May 11th, 2022. There's your meeting minutes draft from, and it was posted August 3rd.
Okay. Let's look at the August, the May 11, 2022 minutes. May I have a motion?
I'll motion, Dr. Carter, that we accept the May 10th, 2022 meeting minutes as presented.
Latricia Clark, I second.
Okay, it has been moved in second to accept the minutes as presented and it will be sent, unless you can get to the website, it will be sent to you immediately after this meeting. Any questions? May I have, no, that's not how it goes. It has been second and it has been second. May I please have a vote? If you're in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Are we aying or are we naying? All in favor, say aye. I couldn't get that out.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Any nays? Hearing none. Motion passed. All right, let me stop sharing this. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Rob. Rob is going to do our elections for us. Let me get back to that screen, Rob. Okay. We've just done that. Nominations of the executive committee, Rob Eden.
All right, so we've had 2 openings on the executive committee, as we've already shared, and the email went out this week for self-nominations. For recording secretary, we've had 2 self-nominations, Erica Henderson and Melissa Upchurch. I'm going to give each one of you about 2 minutes to do a very quick introduction of yourself, so that for those that haven't had an opportunity to meet you, has an opportunity to at least put a face with a name. So at this point, I will ask for Miss Erica Henderson to please give us a little bit about yourself.
Is she here?
Repeating, Miss Erica Henderson, are you online? No response from her. So Melissa Upchurch.
Hi, I'm Melissa, like you just heard. I am in the Parkway School District. My husband and I and our 4 kids moved here to St. Louis in 2016. Our kids are all adopted and immigrants. My youngest son has cerebral palsy and is nonverbal and uses a communication device. Very smart guy, our most high energy guy in the family. And my kids range from 20 to 26. It's a little bit about my family. Professionally, I've done a lot of supply chain and project management and IT, and I've worked from home for the last 6 years, which has been great for kind of flexing all the kid stuff and work stuff at the same time. But I think one of the biggest things that's helped me with my youngest son, who is in special ed, is the SSD PAC for the last 2 or 3 years. And the first year I sat and just listened, and I learned so much. I've learned more from this than any other thing, and from the context and just from all the different speakers that have spoken. So if you ever feel like no one's listening, they are, for sure, because I've learned things and I've been able to help my own son and even a lot of my friends too, and give them some input or at least put them in the right direction. So I would love to help in any way I can, just help provide that for other parents too. So thanks a lot.
Okay. So at this point, Dr. Carter, do we want to do a roll call vote for Erica first and then for Melissa?
Is Erica on?
She's not on to give an introduction, but she did. So she is
She
logging
just popped
as
in.
we speak.
Has she,
Let's give her just a
populated?
second. It says she's connecting, and then we will.
Okay. And I'll get the roll call ready.
All right, at this point of the meeting, we are doing introductions for the 2 individuals that have self-nominated for recording secretary. We have just heard from Melissa Upchurch. Ms. Erica Henderson, could you please give us a very brief, about 2 minutes, if you'll turn your camera on and share with us a little bit about yourself.
We can't hear you.
Ms. Henderson, we can't hear you. I'm sorry.
All hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, so my name is Erica Henderson. I am running for the recording secretary position. I have 7 children, 6 of them which are in Ferguson, Florissant School District. 3 of them, well, actually 4 of them have IEPs. And so with being a mother of children with disabilities, I felt like I saw the opening, I felt that I could do it. I'm currently working as the executive assistant to the superintendent of Ferguson Florissant School District. So I do apologize for being late. I was in a board meeting today. And so I currently record for our cabinet meetings. And so we do have another executive assistant who is currently reporting as the board secretary. So before running for this position, I also touched base with her and was like, hey, it'll be fine. So that's basically why I felt the need also to be involved. I represent my for me to be active, I feel, with the PAC committee when I saw a position that was open. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Wendy, can you put Ms. Henderson and Ms. Upchurch in the waiting room? Gracias, mi amiga.
It looks like we lost Miss Henderson, so I will watch for her, Dr. Carter.
We have both in the waiting room. Rob, we need a motion first.
Erica is just now starting to join in. We dropped her, so hold on 1 second, please.
Okay. Well, you can add her, but we can go ahead.
Okay.
Oops, I'm back in. Am I supposed to be back in?
No. Sorry. Go
And
ahead, Rob. We're waiting on you.
who else got back in?
We're good. Both of them are in the waiting room.
Got it.
Rob, you're on mute.
Mr. Eaton, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
Well, that doesn't work very well, does it? My kids like it better that way, but I apologize. Do we have a motion to accept the 2 nominations, self-nominations for recording secretary? And we will go by roll call for the nominee.
I second that we accept the nominations for the 2 roll call. I mean, for the 2 nominees.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All right, Dr. Carter, can you please do roll call? And let's start with Erica Henderson.
Yes, sir. Okay. Angela Hanks. Christina Blankenship. Christina Blankenship, yay or nay for Erica Henderson?
Oh, sorry, I was also on mute. Yes, for Erica.
All right, Latoya Nelson,
Yes, for Erica.
Cassandra Brown. Oh, she's not here. You the voting delegate. My bad. Monique, Natasha. Monique, she might have come. Monique Hines Smith. Natasha Anderson Wright. Mary Fitzgerald.
Melissa Upchurch.
Okay, so you would be a nay for
Right.
Ms.
Oh,
Henderson.
yes, correct.
Okay. Brooke Sahi, did she show up? Jenna Lai Blackwood. Bridget Wildshoots.
Abstain.
Okay. Kim Gifford.
No.
Latricia Clark.
Abstain.
Shauna Barton.
Nay.
Kamisha Carter. Abstain. Robert Eden.
No.
Rebecca Flagg.
Yay, yes.
Denise Francis. Shauna Rudolph. Out of 3, 7, 9, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of 10 votes, we have 3 for Erica, 4 for Melissa, and 3 abstentions. So congratulations to Melissa. You can bring them back in. We'll go ahead with the second nomination. And we only have 1 on that slate.
Dr. Carter, can you reshare your screen for me, please?
I'm trying to find it. Gracias. Okay, then I did it and the screen won't come up. How about that? There we are. No, we'll go this way, share screen. Do you see my screen?
We do.
Okay.
All right, so for the opening of corresponding secretary, we've had 1 self-nomination from Miss Denise Bursey. So I will give Miss Bursey an opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Denise Bursey, and I am running for corresponding secretary. So a little bit about me. I've been part of Ferguson-Florissant School District for a little over 11 years now. I have 4 children total, 2 that are currently still part of Ferguson-Florissant. Both of those children are part of the special school district with IEPs, 1 for autism and 1 for ADHD. Professionally, I've been in human resources for over 12 years, specializing in talent acquisition, and been a part of PAC for about 2 years. I do think I definitely would excel in this role, given out the duties that are listed in the bylaws. Currently, I serve as the nominating chair for my chapter sorority of Sigma Gamma Rho. Recently, I was submitted an application to sit on the board for Impact. And I also serve as young professionals for King St. Louis, which is an amazing organization that services children throughout the St. Louis region and that provides them recreational activities free of charge. So being a part of PAC and being able to give back, as so many of you have done for me and my little ones, I just feel is definitely right, and trying to be as helpful as I can to make sure that all parents have the information that they need to help their children survive or to accelerate or to excel is the word I'm looking for within the social school district, and making sure that they can be all they can be. And that's all about me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And all right, do we have a motion to accept the self-nomination for Denise Bursey for corresponding secretary?
Latricia
I
Clark,
motion.
that we accept the nomination for Denise as corresponding secretary.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Dr. Carter, can you do a roll call vote, please? Dr. Carter, you're on mute. Look at that. We had what, 2 months off and none of us can figure out how to where the mute button is anymore.
No, we see kids in person now, so we don't have to do that anymore. Angela Hanks. Christina Blankenship.
Aye.
Latoya Nelson.
Aye.
Monique High-Smith. Natasha Anderson Wright. Mary Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Brooke Sahai. Jenna Lee Blackwood. Bridget Wildships.
Aye.
Kim Gifford.
Aye.
Latricia Clark. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Sorry. Melissa Upchurch.
Aye.
Kamisha Carter. Aye. Robert Eden.
Aye.
Rebecca Flagg.
Aye.
Shauna Rudolph. All right. Bring her back in. We have 10 unanimous. It's a unanimous vote. All right. So your new recording secretary is Melissa Upchurch, and your new correspondence secretary is Denise Bursey. Give them a clap, hand clap. Congratulations, ladies. You got big shoes to fill. All right, let's move forward. Now we will have our superintendent's report. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have any new members to vote on. So now we'll have our superintendent's report. Dr. Keenan.
Can you share the PowerPoint? While you're sharing, getting that up on the screen, just want to talk a little bit about our schools opened up yesterday. We were at orientation, so we've made it to most of our schools. We're going to be going to Bridges tomorrow, and I'll be visiting South Tech next Monday, but it's really exciting to see everybody back. For the parents who are a part of the SSD schools, our board did vote for mask optional. So we are not requiring masks, but for families who want to make sure that their students are wearing masks, we can support them in that effort. We've been monitoring the process or the CDC guidance, and we feel like this is a good move right now. I feel like this is going to be a better year than last year. We've been talking, with the staff, and it's just a little bit, feeling like we're coming out of this pandemic. And we've learned a lot through it, but we also know that we're trying to make sure that we're continuing to make sure everybody's safe and supporting our students. All right. We're going to kind of go over a couple of things today in terms of our back to school communications. We're going to talk about the board and who represents what sub-districts. And then we'll go into our family and community engagement, or update on the nurses, the partnership agreements, our SSD schools and programs, and then how to find out information on our website. So we'll kind of take you through this fairly quickly. Next slide, please. So here's our breakdown of our students. So you can see that in our special SSD schools, we have 648 students. We have 21,000 students in our partner districts. So that's a primary bulk of where our services are provided, is in our partner districts, which is great to see. Our early childhood programs we have about 868 students, which is really great to see that we're out the county that we're supporting that many students. We have 1,400 students in our CTE programs, which are at North Tech and South Tech. Our SNAP program has 950 students roughly, and our homebound students, we service 556 students, and we also provide to the court system. So you can see we're a wide system. We support a lot of students throughout the system, and so we're going to continue to do that throughout this year. You can see through our breakdown, we are 47% white students, 41% African American, 6% Latino, multiracial is 2%, Asian is 2%, and 1% is Native American and Pacific Islander. So we definitely show that we have a continued and diverse group of students within our partner districts and in our SST schools. Next slide, please. So this is our overall, our map of the district of St. Louis County. So you can see that's the St. Louis County. Next slide. And these are all of our SSD schools. So the ones at the top, we have Northview and Ackerman in the red, and then we have the yellow is our North Tech. In the central area, you have Litzinger and New Owner. Litzinger is our K-8, and then we have New Owner, which is our high school in the central area. And at the bottom of the map, you can see the yellow one is our South Tech, and the red is our Southview. Southview is our only K through 21 school. The other schools we have in the central and the south and the north, are separated by elementary and then high school. Next slide. This is all of our over 250 schools that we support throughout the county. St. Louis County is very large, and we provide to over 200 schools within the 22 districts. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about our sub-districts. They slightly changed this past year, and then we'll show you the results of that. And the reason they changed is that when we have our governing council members, we have one member from each one of our partner districts of the 22. Their job is to approve our CSIP, to approve our budget, and to our electoral board, our SSD board. Now, we want to make sure that those sub-districts are fairly consistent, not only in the size of them, but the number of people in each one of the districts. The census was completed last year, and we brought a committee together. It was some community members within the St. Louis County, and we also had several superintendents on this committee. We reviewed the census results, and we noticed that there were some changes that were necessary. But you can see this is what the current sub-district as of July 1st that they will be. Our sub-district 1 is Hazelwood, Jennings, Maplewood, Richmond Heights. You see Maplewood, Richmond Heights was in the central part. It's connected to the top one. It does not need to be geographic. We're more concerned to make sure we have equal representation within the voting rights of the governing council members, so that we have even distribution of the number of people representing each one of our districts. Our sub-district 2 is Afton, Bayless, Hancock Place, and Millville. That did not change. Sub-district 3, Parkway, stayed the same. Ferguson, Florissant, Pattonville, Riverview Gardens stayed the same. Brentwood, Kirkwood, Lindbergh, Valley Park, Webster Groves, that did not change, and then that did slightly change. Excuse me. And then we also have sub-district 6, which is Ladue, Normandy, Rittner, University City. That changed, and then sub-district 7 was Clayton and Rockwood. The next slide will show you how the breakdown changed. You can see that we moved some of our districts because we needed to increase. We saw a decrease in population in sub-district 1, primarily in Hazelwood. So we moved our Maplewood, Richmond Heights population up to there so that we could equal out the voting. We switched in sub-district 6 and 7. We switched Clayton with Ladue. Prior to this, Rockwood and Ladue were together, and now it's Clayton and Rockwood. And Ladue moved to sub-district 6, so that way we are evening out the population in the voting. Next slide, please. We'll go on to our board members, and one of the things the board has been talking about is making sure we're connecting with our PACs and connecting with our districts more, and reaching out to them. So we will be inviting more of our board members to our PAC meetings. We're also going to be sending letters and support and information of how to connect with our board members that represent their districts. Our board president is Dr. Cuneo. He's been in the SSD board for over 20 years. He represents the Acton, Bayless, Hancock Place, and Melville school districts. The next slide, please. Our vice president is Katie Potroff, and she is representing our Parkway School District. Next slide, please. Dr. Asner, who is, he has been one of the newest members. He's been on for the last 3 years. We're going to be representing Clayton and Rockwood. And Meredith Byers, Dr. Meredith Byers, she is representing the largest combination of districts. So she represents Brentwood, Kirkwood, Lindbergh, Maplewood, Richmond Heights will be going up to sub-district 1. She will also have Valley Park and Webster Groves. Mr. Faulkner, he's been with us since 2018. He represents Hazelwood, Jennings, and Maplewood, Richmond Heights. Ms. Hudson, she's also a part of the committee to support the PAC, so she joins our PAC meetings each month. She is representing sub-district for Ladue, Normandy, Rittner, U-City, and U-City. And we have Ferguson Florissant, which is Mr. Scott Moeller. He is also representing Pattonville and Riverview Gardens. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Pendergrass. She's going to talk about our district leadership team. We have a couple new members on our team, and she'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, we were, and sorry about that. I lost my internet connection, so I do apologize. Dr. Carter, you're doing a great job. Thank you. We have some new members to our district leadership team. We have our Chief Technology Officer, which is of course, Doug Austin. We have added our Chief People and Cultural Officer, which is formerly known as the person that would be the head of human resource, and that is Mr. Philip Boyd. We have Chief Operation Officer, Dr. Hogg, who is over our budget and operations. We have a new chief. You know her as formerly Executive Director, Ms. Chiquita McRiddle, is now Chief Officer of Partner Districts, Ms. Chiquita McRiddle. And then me as the same old Chief Academic Officer of Schools and Programs. We've also had the opportunity of adding Dr. Michael Macklin as the Executive Director of our Equity Department. And we also added our Executive Director as Chiquita was promoted to Chief. Dr. Tammy Yates is now the Executive Director of our Partner District. We have Dr. Kelly Grigsby still online. I do believe I saw her. She is the Executive Director of Schools and Programs. Miss Henry is also online, Executive Director of Communications. We have Mr. Alan Wheat, Director of Student Services. And then Kevin Andert also pops in from time to time, and he is the Executive Director of Career Technical Education and College and Career Readiness. So I would like to turn this over to Miss Adrienne Eaglin, who is also online to talk about FACE, please.
Good evening, everyone. It will be myself and Deborah Fiasco that are going to provide you with some brief updates. But our team is in the process of meeting with directors out in the partner districts and with principals in the SSD schools to discuss their family engagement plans for the school year. We are also updating our documents and materials so that families receive the most accurate and meaningful information, as well as relocating our family resource center located at the Learning Center so that it is on the first floor and easier to access for families. Deb, what updates do you want to share?
We're still offering most of the, or really all of the wonderful opportunities that we had for families with our resources, our workshops, the hub that Family Engagement had offered before, the Family Academy, and new family cafes. I think the difference is the combination of the two programs has been a really great partnership for us to learn from each other and increase the opportunity to support all the CSIP goals and student success. Our Family Leadership Institute, which used to be known as Parent Leadership Institute, is scheduled the first one in October, and we have a really good turnout. So far this year, I think we have 17 applicants. We'll be reaching out in the next week or so to those districts where we don't have representation to encourage some nominations. So if you have anyone who you would like to nominate or encourage to be in the Family Leadership Institute, go to our face page and you can click on the application. We're still taking applications. So thank you.
Mr. Alan Wheat, could you talk about our updates from Health Services?
Sure. I wanted to just give an update based on some of the conversation that we had last year. Our mission is to provide safe and effective care for our students and staff in the least restrictive environment. Healthy children learn best. So, the focus of Health Services is really to provide a way for students who are medically fragile to be able to attend school. Would you go to the next slide? So our program is, we have 12 school-based clinic nurses. That's your more conventional school nurse type role. We have 41 students who require a one-to-one nurse, and that is in 9 of our partner districts and 21 of those buildings. Currently, there's a national nursing shortage, and we are seeking contract agents for 8 positions. So we've identified some, and we're still looking for a couple more. It's been a kind of a challenging situation with nursing for a bit. Go to the next slide. So I'm going to look at that on my screen so I can see a little larger. In the field of nursing, we would need about 1.1 million nationally nurses to fill the urgent need. More than 1/5 of all nurses are contemplating retirement within the next 5 years. And there's currently 3 million open nursing jobs in the country. That information is being shared with you just so that you can see kind of what we're going through and what all of the medical industry is going through. Hospitals, we're getting some pretty stiff competition from a lot of agencies competing for nurses. So the COVID was pretty rough on persons in the medical field, and research is showing that 51% are experiencing feelings of overwhelmness and anxious and irritable. So I know I can share that sentiment, and I think many of us can through the last bit of time. If you'd move on to the next slide. So to address some of the challenges that we've been having, there's some key ones that we believe we can make some improvements on. Most specifically, we're trying to create a solution or a situation where it's really, really clear where our gaps in coverage are to all of the nurses. And the reason why that's important is our medically fragile students, will have circumstances where they need to be away from school for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and getting information about where those nurses can go. So nurses that have their student away from school for a time will be more able to self-identify a coverage need which is compatible with their life. That's one of the chief challenges we have, is especially on late notice absences. A nurse wakes up and they're ill, or their children are ill. Is that when we ask a nurse to cover for another location, can you go back? Yeah, there you go. When we ask a nurse to cover for another location, it's we might be asking them to get home 90 minutes later than yesterday, or start school at a different time, or drive an extra 30 minutes. And so sometimes that can create some real challenges for their life. So we're improving communication with families, creating ways for families to notify us when their child is going to have a scheduled time to be not able to be at school, so that we can better identify where our opportunities for creating coverage options are. We're continually increasing relationships with staffing agencies, and we're establishing relationships with nursing training programs, and developing an intern process where we can bring nurses in who don't yet have enough experience to be alone with a highly acute one-to-one need student, but we can give them some mentoring and some experience to make them able to safely do that role. We're looking nationally at staffing and pay trends to see what we can do about staying competitive. And we're going to try to expand our LPN program. Special School District has an LPN training program. And we would love to be able to create meaningful opportunities for graduates of that program to then serve the district. So those are some of the things we're working on. And those families who have one-to-one students will be getting some email information to help them support the overall need. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wheat. Next slide. Chief McRiddle or Dr. Yates, Executive Director, would you like to talk about the partner district information?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the 2022-23 school year. Just want to give some updates from the partner district department. We have had the opportunity to engage with PAC by having the president to speak with our directors of all 22 districts within St. Louis County. And she has shared the focus of PAC, those 4 areas that we know of, and will work diligently to support our families throughout the county, our parent voice, equity and spacing, compliance, and equity and understanding the IEP and SPED process. We know that we have 6 districts that we are still working extremely hard to identify parents to represent as PAC members, and that includes Bayless, Hancock Place, Riverview Gardens, Jennings, University City, and Webster Groves. Our focus as directors and school leaders, special education coordinators and staff is to ensure that we are providing effective leadership and supports for all of our stakeholders, and that does include our families. And we want to ensure that we're engaging in open and effective communication. We will be working to set direction with all of our stakeholders for planning purposes, and it is our ultimate goal to ensure that we build positive relationships, and we will continue to monitor those expectations. This year, we have a few updates to our partnership agreement, and tonight I want to speak specifically about collaboration of responsibilities and resources. In this area, we have added that SSD administration in each of our partner districts will be attending PAC meetings within their partner districts. And we want to ensure that these are opportunities to collaborate, to engage, and to plan collectively together, and to ensure that, most importantly, we are supporting our students. When we talk about partner district communication, some of the areas that we have discussed as leaders includes those directors working again with coordinators, case managers, and support staff to ensure that we plan for effective communication with families at the start of the school year. Each of our districts have sent out newsletters which talks about when that communication will take place. We listen clearly to the PAC last year at this time of the year and throughout the year and as we close the year. And so we will work diligently to ensure that as case managers and staff return to partner districts the first few days of the school year and in advance of that first day of school, that we do our best to contact parents through many platforms to talk about school assignments, case manager assignments, how we will respond to questions that families may have, and to provide assistance with navigating aspects of SSD through the partner districts. Our partner district leadership will ensure that we provide immediate updates to our families, and we want to ensure that we are consistent with our messages, but at the same time build trust and respectful relationships with families. I was so excited for Dr. Carter to present and to meet and to engage with our directors, for us to be open and to truly establish those relationships and to talk about how we know that we must work collectively together if we are to support the individualized needs of each of our students. So we will continue to ensure that our staff maintain that focus on developing communication tools to support the local PACs, focusing on IEP team communication, communication plans, and those start of school year activities that are taking place in each of the partner districts. Our staff will be participating in events. We've shared the PAC celebration that will take place on September 14th. And we are really working to ensure that we have representation from each of our partner districts, administrative teams from the special ed perspective. Present. We have also shared this information with all of our partner district liaisons that would consist of staff and administration that work in our partner districts. We have shared that message with them clearly as well too, and have also invited them to be a part of this day. And we hope that they will make the decision to join us. And again, we welcome your letters, your email messages, your phone calls. And again, we will continue to work on that communication piece and just look forward to those monthly director newsletters that will inform you of any upcoming events, important information, celebrations, and highlights. I'm also happy to let you know that we have several of our directors on the call with us tonight, which shows their appreciation and their dedication to support our families throughout the county. And if you are present and if you can hear me, if you can just use one of the reactions and just send a quick hello out with that reaction so that we're able to see those directors that are on the call tonight. That's all I have to share tonight.
Thank you very much, Chief McRiddle. I think next we have schools and programs with Dr. Kelly Grigsby.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Going to give you a couple updates and contact information for our SSD schools and BSP. I have listed for you in the PowerPoint contact numbers and principals for each of our SSD schools. Also contact information for Casey Wisdom, the Director of Vocational Skills, if needed. Next slide, please. As Dr. Keenan mentioned, staff returned to school yesterday, and they're busy getting trained up and also spending time getting their classrooms ready. They're excited to receive students, as we all are. In our schools, we are focusing on high levels of academic achievement by improving student engagement. We're also working on decreasing reliance on technology because we've used a lot of technology over the last couple of years out of necessity, but we want to get back to more direct instruction, more small group instruction, continuing to incorporate technology as it's appropriate, but moving away from that reliance on it. Increasing student stamina. So one thing that we really are working with students on is getting back to an in-person school day, longer instructional activities, maybe if they're on a work site, completing more tasks, and also just being in social situations. For many of us during COVID, we were isolated or at home. And for some of us, we still are. So we're really working on that engagement piece. We're continuing to grow our equity teams, definitely working to surface inequities and improve our practices and processes in our schools and across our department. And then also getting back to and improving our levels of student attendance. We need students in school, and we are hoping that families are more comfortable in sending their students in person to school this year. And as a result, we will see increase in student attendance. That's all I have for you tonight. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Grigsby. And if we could, Dr. Carter, could we allow Jen Henry to have access to share her screens? It was a request that we show how to navigate our SSD website to show information to our families. Thank you, dear.
She should have sharing capabilities. Jen, you're on mute. Oh, okay.
There it goes. It was not working. Okay. Can everybody see my screen okay? Okay. As we get started for the new school year, just wanted to run through our website and highlight some of the features. This is our second year of having this particular website, and we are continuously updating it and making improvements to navigation. So as you are visiting the site throughout the year, if you have any suggestions for improvements or content that you would like to see added, please contact us. We are more than happy to make some adjustments. I just want to highlight the top here. This top menu bar has a lot of quick resources. The first section is about us. So this has all of our overview information. So our mission, vision, values. We completed a new graphic this year, SSD at a glance, that gives a lot of good information about our district to anybody who is unfamiliar with us. We have our new strategic plan document listed on the website as well. So you can go through all of the different sections. Our first section is our strategic plan, followed by our CSIP. It has a lot of good information in here also about the district. If anybody's looking for information about our board, any of our history, our different partner districts, etc. Under leadership, we have all of our different governing bodies listed. So you can find more information about the board, governing council. We have PAC listed here as well. Just real quick, want to show you under Board of Education, in case you're not aware of how to access board docs for our meetings. You would go to our board meeting tab and then click on this link here called Board Meeting Agendas and Minutes, and that will take you right to board docs. And the current meeting is always the first one that shows. So this one shows yesterday's meetings, but if you click on the meetings tabs, it takes you to all of our past meetings, which are archived, and you can visit any of those. We also have all of our recordings listed as well. So if you've missed a meeting and want to watch, they're listed on our YouTube page. Our board policies are listed here as well. And then we also do a board brief. So following all of our board business meetings, it's a recap of all of the decisions that our board made. It's sort of an unofficial minutes of what took place. Our meeting minutes aren't approved until the following board meeting, but this allows our public to see without necessarily watching the meeting what actions were approved. And then we have our special education section where we have our SSD schools listed. We have our partner district section, which was created and improved last year. So we have all of our partner districts listed. And when you click on the partner district directors, it lists all of them by districts. So if you're looking for contact information, we also have photos so that you can see any of our staff members if you're not familiar with them, and links to their contact information. That information is also listed on each individual partner district page. So you can get not only the director's contact information, but information for the various schools underneath that district. And as Ms. McRiddle mentioned, all of our partner districts are doing newsletters. So they have an archive of their newsletters on their pages. So if for some reason it didn't make it to your mailbox, you can come here and view it or review past issues if you're looking for something in particular. We also have information underneath this tab about the evaluation process, IEPs, and our SPED process. Our next tab is our career and technical education. We've got information about our overall program, North Tech, South Tech, and then our adult ed program. We have a students and families tab. So this is where many of our families will go to find resources. Our very first resource is the Family and Community Engagement Division, which FEAS, Adrian and Deb talked about today. So you would be able to find information about their programs. And then right underneath it, we have all of the workshops that that group offers. So clicking here, you can see all of the information about FACE and the different options that they have to support our parents. We have our Lunch and Learn series, the online videos, webinars, different resources, the parent handbook. And then again, we have the parent workshops. We have all of our acronyms because everybody in education loves acronyms. So to help better understand some of the things, not only in SSD, but in special education and education in general, it's a good resource. One of the other things I'd like to highlight under this area is our Instructional Resource Center. If you're not familiar with it, we have the Instructional Resource Center that has a variety of resources that are available for our staff, but also parents to check out to support student learning needs. And you can view all of those materials online, and then you would contact our staff to reserve those items, and you pick them up, and then you have them for a designated period, and then you would return them. And you can check out a variety of materials, books, software, and toys, games, things like that to help support your student. So if you aren't familiar with it, this is a good resource. We also have under this section ways to get in contact with various services. So we have on our very right side where it says get connected, we have let's talk. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, celebrations, we encourage you to go to let's talk if you're not sure who to contact, and you can fill out this form. We have topics here, but there's also a general section where you can submit your message, and then it will be routed to the designated person. What is great about this forum is that you can submit your information, and you can submit it as yourself, or you can submit it anonymously. So if you're not comfortable asking something and identifying yourself, you can submit it anonymous, and you will still get a response back. We don't see the contact information if you select anonymous, but it does send you a response. We also have under that section another link to PAC. So anybody who's looking for it, we have it in a variety of places so that it routes to your website. We have connections for transportation, student services, and then inclement weather, because we wanted that to be prominent. Everybody wants to know when schools will be closed for snow days. We have a variety of community resources that are available that are listed under this tab. Most importantly, in this section, wanted to point out that we have our community partnerships listed here. So this is a section where you can find out more about being a community partner and apply to be one. So if you are aware of anybody who might want to partner with our district, this would be a good place to send them. We've been doing a lot of work on our human resources section this year to beef up our presence as a top employer in the region. And so we've included all of the information about our new Office of Employee Success and Engagement. We have our various departments listed here. And then we also have an opportunity for people to find information about what it would be like to work for the district, what we offer, and then also apply for jobs online. So we have it split up now into a variety of roles so that you can find the jobs that you're looking for quick and easy. We also have the contact us button, so you don't have to go to Let's Talk. You can contact us through that too. And then just real quickly, I want to highlight this bar here. We have this menu where you can easily access our SSD schools, partner districts, departments, Let's Talk, our jobs, our back to school page, and COVID information. Our departments page, if you're not sure where to go, this is the best place to go because it has all of our different areas listed alphabetically, and it's an easy way to find the different areas that you might be looking for. I do want to highlight the back to school page. As you're getting ready for the new school year, we have all of the details you might need. So we have the calendar, information about enrollment, our COVID plan, immunizations, just a variety of information that can be helpful as you're getting ready for the new school year. While we're talking about it, I know snow is a while away. We've been experiencing 100-degree heat, so that's probably not on anybody's mind, but it'll be winter before we know it. And if you aren't subscribed to School Messenger text messages, please go ahead and sign up for that. It's a great way to get your message for snow days or school emergencies or other district information, as well as our Peach Star site where we post opportunities that we work with our community on in our various schools to promote activities for students. And then we also have our COVID information section. In the height of COVID, this page was heavily populated with information. Currently, we just have our return to learning plan, which was recently approved by the board. When we receive other resources from the community health department or relevant information for our schools, we post that information here as well. If you are looking for a school site, you can find the schools on this drop-down menu here, or as I showed you earlier, when you're under the special education section here. So that's a brief overview of our website. Are there any questions or areas that you are looking for information that you haven't been able to find, or sections that you might think that need to be added? Questions about the website?
It's not a question, but it's a, well, I guess it is a question. Janica's form, can we now send that out? The one that Janica created for parents to navigate the website to find those particular things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So what we'll send out, Janica Share, one of the communication department employees, she created a file specifically for PAC to navigate the website. So we will be sending that out expeditiously.
All right, if there are no questions, please feel free to email me if there are other things that we need to add to the website. If you don't remember my email address, you can always just email it to our communications email box, which is communications@ssdmo.org, and we will get the information posted or updated as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henriette. And there are PAC and Dr. Carter, there are not too many legislative updates at this time as things are starting to get underway. We are working with DESE on trying to implement some of the Senate bills and House bills that they're implementing. So seeking some direction. So there'll be further information to come, but that will conclude our presentation for the evening.
Thank you so very much for the informative information. We are so thankful to you guys always giving us what we are asking for at this time. Keep in mind that we will be fellowshipping Food Fund Fellowship September the 14th. We would love to see everybody's lovely face there at Town and Country School. Well, central office is SSD, as we're going to have our PAC awards, kind of like awards celebrating you guys for all your hard work from last year. So thanks to SSD for hosting that particular event, along with Wendy's husband, who's going to have veggie hot dogs and all those things like that. So please, we put the RSV out. We will be pushing it more as the weeks go, because next month is September. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Let's see. Jen, can you stop sharing your screen, please? Gracias. Now we're going to go into PAC business. Our first person up will be Rob. Rob will be giving us information about PRC.
Here we go. Okay, can everybody see my screen? I'm not sure if I shared screen. Okay. All right, so as many of you are aware, we've talked the last several months. We just completed our 2021 Public Review Committee and submitted that to the Board of Education, the Governing Council, as well as to the state of Missouri. On that committee, so we had 3 representatives from the Governing Council, 3 representatives from PAC, and 3 representatives from appointed by DESE. We had Keisha Lee, Larry Felton, and Dr. Sheila Powell-Walker from the Governing Council, Dr. Kamisha Carter, myself, Rob Eaton, and Erica Williams from PAC, Dr. Jenny Bender, Dr. Andrew Stewart, and Dr. Mary Ann Tegens from DESE. I will go, I'm not going to read it word for word to you. We will get the copy emailed out to you, but I will give you what our recommendations were and go from there. So we spent several months meeting lots of times. Lots of times the janitor was going, could you guys go home so I can go home? As we were sitting in the room up there at central office. So we made a couple recommendations. Recommendation number 1 was in regards to equity, where our recommendation was to continue the implementation of the 8 objectives of the 2018 Blueprint for Equity and Guiding Principles, Action Plans for the 2020 Equity Framework. Monitor the Framing the Frameworks training schedule and use feedback from participants to provide continuous improvement in the training, as well as follow-up activities designed to increase fidelity of equity in action. The partnership agreement should identify the joint equity responsibilities of SSD and the partnering districts. Our second recommendation was recommendation number 2 regarding the partnership agreement. Implement and evaluate outcomes of the partnership agreement across 22 districts using the document assessment tool, including attention to as evidenced by metrics. The individual partnership agreement between SSD and the partner district should be discussed and adopted during an open board meeting. The agreement should be signed by both the superintendent and the board president from both SSD and the partnering districts. Continue the use of advisory committees, liaisons, etc., to provide transparent communication regarding the partnership agreement items, outcomes, and next steps. Recommendation number 3. Excuse me, I do apologize. I have been fighting bronchitis and pneumonia for the last week, so I apologize for my voice. Recommendation number 3, continuous improvement. Develop continuous improvement methods to address processes, identify measures, gather data, analyze and publish results, and implement improvement in all areas addressed in the recommendations. These include equity, partnership agreement, career and technical education, post-secondary outcomes, personnel, governance, and finance. We combined recommendation number 4 and 9, which was in regards to relationships and communication. Establish specific planned meetings between families, partner districts, and SSD to improve communication and the exchange of status and information. The SSD Board of Education and the Partnering District Board of Education representatives should meet on a regular basis to provide the SSD Board feedback and on SSD services, communication, and priorities. Families, partner districts, and SSD need to develop a common set of advocacy priorities for use in meetings with public officials and legislators. Evaluate the effectiveness of communication tools used to engage and seek feedback from stakeholders regarding their experiences with SSD staff and any suggestions or concerns that they might have. Recommendation number 5 looked at career and technical education. North Tech and South Tech should be recognized and supported by internal and external stakeholders as unique and distinctly different institutions operating within SSD, fulfilling the critical and economical important mission of developing the future workforce of our region by educating and training eligible high school and adult leaders, both abled and disabled, in occupations labeled high demand by governmental authorities. Recommendation number 6, conflict resolution. A conflict resolution recommendation was listed in the initial list of recommendations to be considered by the PRC. Based on the group's discussion, this suggested recommendation is set aside. Recommendation number 7, post-secondary outcomes. Support the proactive use of the IEP transition process to inform both families and staff of the individual students' goals and needs to successfully transition from K-12 to post-secondary opportunities and outcomes. Recommendation number 8, personnel. Examine the hiring and retention of SSD workforce, including the interview, training, review of employees. The interview process should include a timely communication with job candidates, establish an annual summary regarding hiring and retention with an emphasis on equity. Focus on the following metrics: measures of job performance, job retention, as well as reasons for leaving involuntary resignations. Employee feedback and job performance evaluations should be used as a means to promote change and improvement of an employee. Examine the onboarding process of SSD employees at SSD schools and at partners schools, and measure client and employee satisfaction. Review and revise current and new job descriptions, considering job industry, job boards, formats to include relevant language and terminology. Use the job description for job board postings, job fairs, and interviews. Recommendation number 9, we did talk about just a few minutes ago when we combined it with recommendation number 4. Recommendation number 10 for governance. Improve the effective communication of the SSD Board of Education, SSD Governing Council, and Parent Advisory Council by creating opportunities for these organizations to meet and exchange information on a regular basis. Recommendation number 11, finances. Continue the process used to ensure the SSD Board of Education and the Governing Council have a sound understanding of the assumptions and methodology used to create the annual SSD budget for approval. Continue to improve the financial quality and integrity associated with the budget by conducting annual reviews of the SSD operating budget by the Board of Education, the Governing Council, and external auditors. Continue to develop a 5-year strategic projection of revenue, expenses, program expenditures, and balances. I will say that we submitted that. I don't remember the exact date. We did receive a letter from the Department of Education thanking us for the work that was put into that. And I am excited to say that SSD has taken these recommendations and have already hit the ground running in many of the areas and are getting some things in place to work on those communications, to work on that communication between the governing council, the Board of Education, and PAC, so that we can all have a much clearer understanding and all be working together for the best outcome for our students. So that is what I have on the PRC. Does anybody have any questions?
Seeing none.
I just say I don't see any. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question. Why was conflict resolution set aside? Number 6, I believe.
At that point, we didn't see anything for that. They were working, continuing on from the previous PRC and continuing to work through those things. And we didn't see any reason to readdress conflict resolution.
And so was conflict resolution about conflicts with who or between what parties? Like, is that conflict resolution with parents, conflict resolution with staff? What was that? I mean,
It was more conflict resolution between staff members. It wasn't anything germane to student teacher conflict resolution. It was more so problems that were going on with staff.
Okay.
Am I correct, Wendy?
That's the way I remember it, yes.
Correct, ma'am.
Okay.
Here's another question.
Okay.
What would you all say would be like the number one priority? Like, and I did come to one of your meetings and you all were working so hard and really appreciate it. But what would you say, of all those numbers, what would be like the most important thing if SSD was going to prioritize? Is number 1 the priority, or would something else? And each of you can have different answers. That's okay too.
I think when we looked at it, one of the things that jumped out at all of us from the very beginning was the equity piece and how that fit in every other piece along the way. So if we're going to say one thing that jumped out the most important, I mean, they were all incredibly important. Trust me, the amount of hours we spent discussing them. But when we look at the equity piece, equity fit in every one of those categories.
And I concur. Basically, you can't, not now, not in 2022, you cannot exclude anything or anyone. You have to find the equity piece, not what fits most students, but what is best for all students. And in that, that goes with communication and relationships, that goes with governance, that goes with all of them. Because if we're not equitable on any level, which leads to what I feel is the great thing that Dr. Keenan and her group have jumped on, is getting all 3 boards together. So we're not working in silos, but we're working collaboratively. And in working collaboratively, everyone can see what everyone else is doing and how it affects everyone. So that's why the equity piece is so important.
And I would agree. And also all the recommendations are very pertinent. If you ever have the time to really look in our strategic plan and CSIP plan for the district, those areas really dovetail into all the work and the direction that the district is headed. So the recommendations were so on par and provided us good direction. Some that were already naturally happening, but all of that work is important. The most important thing, and though it isn't spelled out, is the relationships that we have with each category, with each person, with each district, with each family. That's the overarching theme that I think that we're really focusing on in the future.
So and you all know I'm a former teacher, so this is, Wendy, for you, what do you see is going to be the biggest challenge? Because when we're talking equity, when we're talking systemic change, and this is a really big school district, what would you see, Wendy, as the biggest change top to bottom, from administrators down to janitors, and food service people for SSD.
To be brutally honest, it's time. Time is going to be our biggest difficult. Everyone wants change to happen immediately. Some of these recommendations are really going to need to be spread over several years to work on those intricate parts that Chief McRiddle and Dr. Yates in the partnership agreement, working our collaborations, being able to identify that each director in each building has relationships and has a voice in their board, in their districts, to make sure that we provide the right support and that we are communicating what is needed. So I think the biggest hurdle that we're going to get is time. But I think all of the recommendations, we are more than capable of making positive movement on them.
So does that mean you would try to work on timelines or projected timelines or goal setting? And I'm thinking, as a special ed teacher, that's what we do with our students, but that's also what we do with a system, is having targets, goals, so that everyone, it's measurable and there's accountability and there's SMART goals too.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, Ms. Fitzgerald. I have broken down each one of the recommendations and created an action plan and are meeting with all of the champions that are over those areas via strategic plan or CSIP plan or categories such as operations that are really going to identify what action steps we are going to use and the dates that we are going to complete them. And then that information will be shared out with both our governing council, our PAC, and then also our board on a regular basis.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you for your great questions. You always have great questions, Mary. Rob, does that conclude your report?
That does conclude that part of the PRC. I did want to share with everybody else that, yes, ma'am. So one of our goals is, and it's the goal of both the PAC as well as SSD, is to try to get functioning PACs in all of the 22 partnering districts. So as a goal, working with Dr. Carter, one of my desires was to be able to see us take some of our experienced PACs, some of our PACs that have hit the ground, are doing great things, and take those and go to these districts and say, hey, we want to help mentor you guys. We want to help get some things in place for you so you're not creating the wheel. You're not doing all of those parts. A lot of times I think that people are scared of that part of it. If somebody wants to kind of give them an outline and say, let's do this, this, and this, and then they're willing to be a little more jumping on it. So I have spent the last couple of weeks going through and making some lists of existing PACs and where we've got PACs that are doing great things, where we've got some that need some help. You are a PAC member that is overseeing a PAC in a district and you are willing to step up and help mentor. And when I say mentor, maybe that is a one-on-one conversation. Maybe that's a group of us getting together and kind of doing best practices. And okay, how do you do your meetings? How do you do your meetings? And try to do that so we can get focused this year of getting all 22 districts having a PAC that is getting that information. Because as we've heard, Ms. Upchurch shared tonight that she's gotten so much information from the PAC and from meeting here and from the PACs in her district. And those are the ways that we're going to get a lot of this information out to our parents. And so that is the goal of Dr. Carter and myself, and we are going to hit that ground running. So if you are willing to step up and help be a mentor, maybe you're one that says, hey, I don't want to say it tonight out here where everybody can hear me, but hey, our PAC really needs some help. And you reach out to Dr. Carter, reach out to myself, and we will do what we can to help get you those resources to be sure that we can get the best experience for those all parents. And now, Dr. Carter, I'm done.
I would like to give kudos to Christina Blankenship at this time. She had some personal reasons why she had to step down from being our recording secretary. She has level set us as a PAC and as an SSD executive committee with our information and being a curator of documents. So at this time, I want you to come off mute and I want you to give Christina a round of applause. She has done a fantastic job. Everybody come off of mute and give Christina her just due. Yay! appreciate you. We thank you. This was difficult, but you know, hey, you have to put, my philosophy is that your family comes first, this comes second. And so at this juncture, if you want a few words, you can have them at this time.
For a change, I'm a little lost for words, which is unusual for all of you that really know me over the years. I've really appreciated this opportunity. I love serving the families in our county. I'm still going to be on the SSD PAC, and I'm going to still be running the Clayton PAC. But I just, for everything that the PAC, it's not fair to the other members of the EC. It's not fair to the PAC for me to only do something less than 150%. So I stepped down, and I think you guys are in great hands. You know, you've got some enthusiastic individuals. Melissa Upchurch is doing an amazing job as recording secretary, and she's got additional skills that I don't have that she's bringing to the table. So I think you guys are in really good hands. And again, thank you so much. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve. And thank you, Dr. Carter.
And we appreciate
Thank you, Christina.
And that is our parliamentarian. Do we have anything from you, Latricia?
I just want to thank Christina for all of her hard work and dedication and for her level of excellence. And I commend her wholeheartedly for understanding that her family comes first, but still operating in her role as a PAC member. So thank you, Chris, for all of your service.
Kudos to you.
Thank you, Latricia.
Kudos. At this time, I'm going to do my president report, but I have two things that I want to make you aware of. I'm going to bring Melissa Church and Latoya on. They are now, well, Melissa is moving out of their position, but still will be over the social media. Melissa, Latoya, can you give us some information about our social media pages that are now up and running?
Yeah, I can jump on. We set up a Facebook group and have started. We're going to put all the announcements, and we've got some flyers and a cool video on there right now. And then we have Instagram that will do the same. On the Facebook group, we also have events listed so you can get reminders before the PAC meetings. And then we also have a Twitter account that we put a few announcements on there as well too. And that should be in the minutes, I think, or coming out in the news too.
Yes. Once we get all the links.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. All right. Also, we were talking about equity. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate you and Latoya. We were also talking about equity a few minutes ago with the PRC. One of the responsibilities that we're going to do as a PAC is to have equity. Rebecca, are you still on? Rebecca Flegg is our new equity chair. If you would like to be a part of her group, you can, her committee, you may also. Right now, we're going to keep the social media group small, so just Latoya and Melissa. But the equity committee, we're going to really keep our end of the bargain about equity. And I am about to share my screen to let you know about the 4 focus areas everyone has been talking about. But basically, over the summer, the EC has been working diligently. Everyone can see my screen. We've been working diligently. We have worked all last year to talk to SSD. The problem that we have run into at most of, well, not most, but a lot of the partnering districts are some very, very issues that is due to non-communication or just don't know. And so basically, as the PAC and as we are advocates for our children in the 22 district partnering districts in the 5 SSD schools in the 2 career and technical education schools, we want to all say the same language. So your SSD executive committee is presently contacting all superintendents and all board president. And as mentioned earlier by Chief McRiddle, that I presented these same 4 goals to the SSD partners, so they'll know what we're talking about. Wendy, Chief Pendergrass has that information as well, so they'll know what we're talking about, that we're serious. And we all have to be speaking the same language. And in speaking the same language, you'll get this copy once it get queued and put into a better form. This was mentioned in the July and the August email. So here we go. Our 4 focus area for the 24 focus areas for the 22-23 school year are parents' voice, equity and spacing, compliance, and equity in understanding the IED or the SPED process. Looking at the first focus point, the SSD PAC wants parents to have a voice, not only in public comments, but at the table where decisions are made. We as the EC decided that once we looked at all the data in both the SSD schools and the 22 partnering districts, we are noticing that the low incident and the medically not challenged, but I can't even come up with the word.
Medically fragile.
Fragile, thank you. Medical fragile students, parents are not at those tables, so their voices are not being heard. Basically, we are noticing that the people that they pick are not necessarily the people who have the severe issues. And so we're asking not only the partnering districts, but the SSD schools to have those parents at the table when decisions are being made. Recently I had a conversation with Pattonville today, and I was telling them that, with the new bond issue that they are having, have those parents at the table so that for future generation of students that are come through their door, that they will have those ideas and those parents will not be left out. If we're talking equity, that means everybody. Equity in spaces, in spacing. There are some partnering districts that are not working with SSD, and their case managers or their special ed coordinators or their directors, and they are only looking at their gen ed population, but not necessarily looking at our children. Well, that's a no. They need to also keep our children in mind when they are moving classrooms around and combining classrooms, whether the children are in self-contained classrooms or classrooms that are inclusive. Students need to be in their least restrictive environment, and they also have to be included. So we are working with partnering districts and having this issue being heard, because this has become a severe problem in several of the partnering districts, and parents want to be heard, and they want to discuss opportunities for equity of students, of all students in sustainable learning environments, to which I am thankful for Rebecca, and we'll talk more about that at the end of my presentation. Focus 3, compliance. We are asking for partnering districts to hold up their end of the bargain by being partners with SSD. SSD directors are chief advocates. They cannot go into the partnering district and say, well, I need you to move this and you have to move that. No, that has to come from the superintendent. And when the superintendent is cognizant of the things that he or she need to do, then he or she can filter it down to their subordinates or their direct reports. Here's the thing. They sign an assurance agreement every year and a partnership agreement, as mentioned earlier with Ms. McRiddle, Chief McRiddle. So you signing a legal and binding document. As parents, we expect for you to be in compliance with that legal and binding document. Partnering districts must show accountability and equity for our children who receive services from SSD. Because, I heard a teacher say, well, I pay tax dollars into my own district. Great. We pay tax dollars into that district as well. And as taxpayers, we have rights. So we are students of our district who happens to receive services from SSD. We are the district student first, then we belong to SSD. It's not, our children are not SSD children. Our children are products of their school district. So this is not our wish. This is a mandated law, public law 94-142. So that's what we're asking, for them to stand up and be accountable. Our last focus is equity and of understanding the IEP. We're asking for school teams to work with all students, especially those who receive services from SSD. Understanding that principals are more cognizant of building plans and de-escalation of dysregulated students. No longer are we going to say, well, isn't that an SSD student? No, no, they're a student of your school first. So they are required to get the same level of respect and equity. This includes more than the SSD teacher, but the general education teacher. Most general education teachers only see the profile sheet. They don't consult. We as parents have to ask for a consult and all those other things. But the general education teacher, the assistant principal, the restorative practice person, and the security officer, even the bus drivers to the cafeteria workers, everyone has to become a part of the students' villages so that each one of the children, including our own, are successful in every facet of their life. This is no small feat. We are asking the partnering districts to communicate. As Chief McRiddle mentioned earlier, when I spoke to the SSD directors, we have 4 fear responses. Either we fight, we flee, we freeze, or we shut down. As I mentioned earlier to the SSD directors last week, most parents are at the point of shutting down. The people in the school are the social agents. They are the people who we send our children to educate. They are supposed to be the experts. And I also said that general ed teachers should not be afraid of parents. They should be able to talk to them, especially our parents. If we're sending our child to you and you're the expert and you're telling us what do we need to do with your kid? How do we solve your problem with your kid? Wait a minute, you're the experts. You're supposed to be helping us. So most parents shut down. Most parents get very, very agitated and they begin to fight. Or most parents just freeze and say, you know what? We're going to get through the school year. So communicate. That's what we're asking. We're asking not only from the superintendents, we're asking for the principals, the school district, the teachers. Everybody needs to communicate more because we are sending our babies to schools. And if there are no children, there's no school. Hear the need. We're asking for partnering districts to hear the need, see the need, collaborate with families about the need. Our needs are myriad. We have so many different types of needs. And they can't put us all in a box. But here's the equity part in it. And what I need might be different from what Kim may need, but our needs are similar because it's a need. Meet the need, hear the need, see the need, collaborate with us about our needs. Then I want you guys to spread the word. We're gonna and we're telling them about the PAC for them to come out, PAC celebration. We're telling them about the PAC celebration. We need you to spread the word to all your principals, your teachers. Everybody can come out. We need a number, but everybody can come out because what is important is the child. And we don't need for us to be fighting the district and fighting SSD to get services for our children, the correct services, the equitable services for our children. So that brings me to this point. Rebecca Flagg is going to talk to Rockwood on tomorrow, and she has equity action steps. I looked at some of them and I want to incorporate it. We have not talked about it as an EC as of yet, but some checklists when we go into schools, in the partnering schools. What are some checklists? Is there a ratio between SSD teacher and students? Is there a ratio between paraprofessionals in the classrooms and kids who are needing services? You just can't stick one paraprofessional in there and you have a building aide that's doing copies, and that's not apropos. That's not going to work. Not this year. So we're gonna not trying to arm you, but we're gonna put paper in hand. And when you go in your school, don't my ask. Don't say you ain't doing this, this, and this. And I need you to fix this, this, and this. We're not asking you to do that. We want you to take the checklist. So when you get to your IEP, when you get to the IEP and the right person is not there, when you get to the IEP and the principal is not attending, you can say, according to my equity checklist, the principal or the principal representative is supposed to be here like an assistant principal of that grade level. My child's teacher needs to be, the child's general ed teacher needs to be at the IEP, you know, and you'll have your little checklist to go down. This will help us help them be accountable. Are there any questions? Why are you laughing, Wendy?
Can inclusion in the extracurricular activities be added or considered for the checklist?
Well, since you're the new recording secretary, everything crosses your desk. So
I would like that. I would very much appreciate that.
Know.
Yeah, because that gets, at least for my son, it's just crushing. Didn't get invited to his graduation.
Oh no.
So I heard about it from an advocate we were paying, and then we got him, and nobody's meaning to do anything. Like it isn't, they're not meaning to exclude him. It just gets over their head. And so, I mean, I think it's a perfect opportunity for a checklist item for, you know.
And it's sad to say you're not the only person.
Yeah, dances and, you know, just all the fun stuff that all the general ed kids enjoy in high school.
I agree. That is so important. So creating that checklist will really help us from a streamlined standpoint of us doing a universal in our work. So I love that idea.
And it's better coming from us than it is coming from Waldy's grouchy mom, you know.
Or the lawyers. So at that point, thank you, ladies. Anybody else have any questions? We're going to put the plus delta in the chat room. We did not have any, as of noon today, we did not have any public comments. And I just put the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram in from Melissa. So we need you to join. We need you to spread it to all families. We need you to spread it to your PAC. We have turned off the comment section because this is not for parents to gripe. That's why we are here and you're a local PAC, so they can come to you in your local PACs. You can meet those needs more readily accessible. That's also, we sent out the hot topics. I will send it out again because we need to know what we're going to do October through May, being off in March. Keep in mind, I might be calling you to serve on the committee. We have to be present. We have to be in places where they don't expect for us to be. And I need your help. So please, 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 please say yes when I ask, okay? I know I just volunteered. May I have, the plus delta is in the chat. I know we have room for improvement. I know we have room for improvement. I know we have to get more information out on a regular basis. But without that feedback, we don't know. So we're not afraid of it. We accept the feedback, how we can run our meetings better. We gave you a lot because in September, we're gonna be in town and country. If you can come out, bring out your family, spread the word. We want families, they're coming out for us. We have to be there. So you can wear your mask. I think it's mask that you have to wear your mask at SSD. Most other, oh, you don't, she just said no. Okay, but we had to when we went to PRC though. But you know, if you don't feel comfortable, wear your mask, put your children in masks, bring everybody out. They're cooking for us. Hot dog hamburgers, let us know your special requests. We put the link in, but we'll send it out again. We have some things that we have to get out by tomorrow. Y'all give us till Friday to get all this stuff out. And we'll make sure we have the right minutes out, all the updated stuff and the PAC information. Any other questions for the order? Seeing and hearing none. I have a motion to adjourn. Don't nobody want to go home?
Sorry, I forgot to hit mute.
Move that we adjourn the meeting at 8:57 p.m.
I second.
All right. It has been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Good night. Good job, people. I appreciate you. Congratulations to Denise and Melissa. Now y'all get to get on this text message change that we have for everybody.
Thank you all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a great night. Thanks again, Christina, for everything. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.